Hello everyone. In this video we are going to learn the next topic of the chapter cyber ethic, that is Freedom of Information Act. So actually this act was started in 2002, written the year also, but later on in 2005 again it was discussed in Lok Sabha, and they changed the name as Right to Information Act in 2005, and successfully it was passed in Lok Sabha. Then this act was applied by central government as well as by state government in 2005 only. So what happened? What is the idea behind this act is to empower every citizen of India to get information about anything. See, in our country, many government offices are there, many public authorities are there, so they should work their work for public, right? That is only the things. Many government offices we have in our country, so those officers, those who are sitting in that office, they should work for the public. But sometimes some officers they they don't do their work properly. They take their own decision for their own benefit. Okay, so in this case any citizen can ask those officers about the work, about any information, why they have done this work or why they are not doing their work properly. This is the authority given to every citizen by this act, right to information. Okay, so how it started actually? See, in if we talk about the central government, so in central government, prime minister, okay, then one opposition leader plus one more person suggested by the prime minister. Three members are there. So these three members will elect the chief information commissioner first, chief information commissioner, and under this chief information commissioner 10 more peoples are there, 10 more members will be there. So those will see and monitor about this act, whether it is working properly or not, or if any case is coming according to this act, so they will manage these things. So if we talk about the state government, so in the state government, in the state level, CM is their chief minister, then one opposition leader will be there, plus one more person suggested by the CM. Again, three members are there. So these three members will elect the chief information commissioner, and then under this 10 more candidate will be there, 10 more members will be there. So they will take care of this act in the state level. Okay, if in any state this type of case is coming, some people, some citizens, some public, from the public, someone is asking, someone has complained, okay, about any government, about any government office or about any person, government officers, so they will manage these things. Okay, now the next thing is, we got the idea how it is going to be, how and who is the responsible for this. Now the next thing is how we can apply for this. Suppose if you are not satisfied by any government officers, if they are not doing their work properly, so how we can do complaint? So it is very simple. 10 rupees of charge is there, fees is there, 10 rupees. So you need to write the application about that particular officer or about that particular office who's not doing their work properly, or if you want to know something about their work or about the any work or government work, if you want to know, you just need to write the application, right? So you need to pay 10 rupees of charge, fees is there. Then if matter is related to life and liberty, if you are asking the information or related with the life and liberty, then according to this act it is telling that within 48 hours that officer need to reply. Within 48 hours you will get the information. Okay. But apart from this life and liberty information, some other common information you are asking for. So it is telling that according to this act, it will take maximum 30 days. Within 30 days, that person has to reply. That person has to give information to you. If they are not giving information during that time, within 30 days or within 48 hours, so the penalty is there. Penalty of 250 rupees for per day on that government officer who is not giving you information what you are asking for. Okay, so that is a act. But in some cases they are not able to give information. Some very sensitive informations are there related to our security of our country, defense department information. We cannot ask. They can refuse. They will refuse if you are asking those information, right? The second thing is the mode of information. In which mode you were asking for the information? Like, uh, suppose you have given the application form, and reason also you have mentioned, for this reason you are asking for the information. Sometimes this reason is also not required. You can just write, according to this act, it is telling that you can just write the application. No need to mention the reason also why you are asking for about this information. Okay, no need to mention the reason. You can just write, I want this information, like that. So if you are thinking that the information you should get in paper, okay, in printed form, so per page 2 rupees cost is there, so you need to pay 2 rupees for per page. But if it is large size paper, so according to that extra charges will be there. Or if you are asking the information in CD, DVD, or floppy disk, so extra 50 rupees extra you need to pay for that. So that is the mode of media, how we can get the information. That is right to information. So that is the act. According to this act, every citizen is having power to ask any information from the government. Okay, because we pay tax, so the government is providing service. If the government is not providing services what we need, so we can ask them. Okay. So next is some objectives are also there. The main objective of this act are, first is transparency. Yes, there should be transparency, right? Because we pay tax to the government. Many people, means of all the citizens of India, those who are working, those who are doing job, private job, government job, they are paying tax. So if all the monies are collecting in the government sector, so the government sectors are investing the money in some different department. They are distributing the money for the public. Okay. But in case if you want to know about any information that we have given this much of money, and what about those money, how much money the government is investing for the different department, health department, education department, so there should be transparency. Okay, if we are asking for any information, the government has to give. That is transparency in between the government and the common people, citizen. Second is practical reason. So we know that the government, whatever the government, whoever they are ruling on us, they rule on our country. So it should be practical. Okay, whatever they are speaking, or whatever the government is telling, that we will pay this much amount of money, we will invest this much amount of money in the government and for the public. So whether they are working or not properly, practically, in the ground level. So according to this act, we can know, we have the power to ask to the government whether they are working properly or not, how much they are working, how much money they are investing, how much they told, and how much they are investing, so that we can know practically. It should be practical. Empowerment. So this act is already, I told that this act empower every citizen of India, that they are giving, this act is giving power to ask any government officer about any information. We can ask. So this act, empowerment, empower the citizen of India. Trust builder, obviously it will build the trust in between the government and common people, the citizen. So there should be the really good relationship for having the good relationship, both government and public. They should be satisfied. Okay. Record management, yes, obviously all the records should be managed according to this act. So what happened when this act was not started, it was not initiated. So that time the government sector were doing their own work without any information by the public. But now the public is having power to ask any government officer, right? So the government officer, those who are working for the public, they need to maintain the record properly. Yes or no? Because at any time, any people can ask information from the government officer. So he should maintain the record. That is the way. So they are the main objective of this Right to Information Act. Okay. So now this after this topic, we have the next topic in our chapter, that is e-commerce. What is e-commerce? All of you know about the commerce, business. So e-commerce, electronic commerce, internet commerce, or online business, selling or buying the product or service online is called e-commerce, electronic commerce. Okay. So what happens generally, it is very common nowadays because people, they don't have time to go to the market. First reason. Second is we can get the product 24 hour a day, right? From many websites are there like Flipkart, Amazon, many websites are there. Okay, so they provide the product 24 hour a day. Their websites are there. We can search the product. We can compare the product. Different products are there. Different company products we can compare, and also we can get the product in cheap rate, exact rate, good rate. We can get the product. Okay, because in market, whenever we are going, we are in very hurry. So whatever the money, whatever the fee charges they are telling, we are paying. But in here we can compare the price of the product of different company. We can compare, then we can purchase. So now what happens when we are doing this in e-commerce or online business, we are buying the product, we are selling the product. So one very essential things we are doing, that is transaction. Online transactions required. Okay, because many website, they provide the facility to pay online. So if we are paying online, so what we are doing, very important and essential information, that our account detail we are entering on those website, and then when we are clicking on the pay button or next button, so those informations are traveling on internet. Many server are there. So finally those informations are will be received by the company. Okay. So that is possibilities there that anyone can hack our information. They can retrieve our very sensitive information, the information related to our account. Then they can misuse. Sometimes it is happening that fake websites are there. The many people, they create the fake website. They will send you the link. When you click on the link, one web page will open, and all of you know that how to create the web page. In a previous chapter already you have studied. It's very simple to create the web page. So the fake people, they are creating the fake website, fake web page. They will just put the different product image in very cheap cost, very less price will be there. When we are clicking, they are asking to pay money. We are paying the money, but that is fake website. The money will be deducted from the account, but we will not receive any product. Many security issues are there. Many cases already we are watching on news, we are seeing on news, and newspaper also we are reading. This type of thing is happening. So privacy and security issue in e-commerce, that is very important. We should know what are the privacy and security issues are there. Confidentiality, yes. What are the info? See, so we are talking about the company and the customer. If customer is buying any product from the company or service from any company, so he is paying the money. So when we are giving the account details, so related with our account, all the information are our name, address, contact number. All of you know that when you're purchasing anything, we're buying the things from the online website, we need to give these details: contact number, email ID, address. So those information, so it should be confidential. If we are sharing these information to the particular company, okay, so it should be confidential. That is very important. Okay, because if any unknown people are getting these information about our contact number, address, so they can misuse our information. That's why all the information should be confidential. Integrity, so whatever the informations are there, it should not alter, it should not change by anyone, right? Because whatever information we are putting on internet, we are doing the online transactions, so in between many people can see those information, they can hack our information, they can change the information, so it should not be happen. The integrity should be there. Okay, it should not be changed by anyone. Authenticity, yes, there should be authenticity by the website should be correct. Okay, it should be authentic, and if we are sending our information or someone is sending the information, it should be authenticated, okay, by the web browser or by the several protocols are there, several rules are there, so according to those rules, according to those protocols, it should be authenticated. Okay, which means we should know that what information we are getting from someone, it is correct, it is sent by some particular person only, but it is not fake. So that is the thing. The next topic is non-reputability. It means once we have that is called as denial of order or denial of service. It means if we have paid money to the company, okay, or we have sent any information to the company, so or any website, so later on we should not means it should not be denial. We cannot tell that I have not sent the message or I have not applied for to buy these things. It should not be happen. Or once I have paid the money, I have sent the information, I have sent the message, so the company cannot deny that he has not received the payment order. Okay, so this should be, this type of security also should be there. Next one is encryption. Yes, different rules are there. According to these rules, the information what we are sending about our account information, about our name, address, contact number, email ID, it should be encrypted. Encrypted means it should be convert into some code word form, so that in between, if someone is seeing those information, then they should not understand. Okay, very advanced and latest technologies are used to encrypt the message. It means if someone is trying to decrypt also, someone is trying to read the information, then also it will be very, very difficult to decrypt those messages, those code word form into the original form. Just imagine that one text message, you have account number, some address is there, contact number, these information, if someone is by using some technique, if we will convert into music mp3 form or image form, and then we will send, so no one can identify what is that. That is very difficult. So not only this, but several techniques are there. Because of this, those technique, the information what we are sending, it can be encrypted, it can be converted into the code word form. Okay, so that in between, if someone is watching, they cannot understand, they cannot decrypt it. Auditability, it means whatever the transaction we are doing, it should be auditable. Means for later on, it should be maintained. We can maintain the record also as a customer also, and as a company also, because later on, if we have paid some money to the company for some product or some services, later on that product is damaged, or the service we have not received the service, suppose, so later on we can complain. Okay, so for complaining, we should have some receipt, some record we should have, right? So whenever we do this type of transaction, on online transaction, we are buying the product, we are selling the product. So this type of auditability should be there. So our next topic is, see, we have seen already the privacy and security issues in e-commerce. So we have seen different security issues are there. So whenever we do some online transaction, or we are opening any website, okay, e-commerce website we have opened. So before opening that, we should think about these 3 points, so we can ensure that whether that website is secure or not. First thing, whether that website provides encryption facility or not. Okay, because whatever the information we are going to give in that website, it should be encrypted, it should be converted into code word form by using some logic, some algorithm. So whether they are providing this encryption facility or not, first thing. Second is digital signature, whether that website is digitally signatured or not, is it authentic or not, it is original or not. Okay, there is the option, because see, in this also security certificate and digital signature, the website or the company need to get this thing. Okay, so certificate authority is there. So who will provide this certificate, digital certificate or digital signature or security certificate to the website or web page? For that, online form is need to be filled by the company or the website, those who have developed the website. Then detail is required, completely detail is required, so the certificate authority will check whether the information is correct or not, it is original or not. Then only the company will provide the digital signature or security certificate to that particular website or company. Okay, so it is very important. So in web browser also, whenever we open web browser, in any web, whatever the web browser we are using, whether it is Google Chrome or Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox, there is option to update the security certificate. We can update the web browser so that it will update the certificate also, because what happened, sometimes many websites are there, for those website certificates are expired, so they are not renewed. So we need to check about these things before we do online transaction with any one of the website or company. The next topic in this chapter is security threats for e-commerce website. It means we are using so many website that belongs to online service, like online shopping or online business. So already we have learned in the previous topic what is e-commerce, that belongs to online business. So if we are visiting those websites, so what are the possible security threats are there? So we need to know about these security threats, then only we can protect our important information. Okay, so first thing is password breaches. So yes, what happens generally, if we are visiting these type of website for doing online transaction, we are giving our account detail information. So first thing is we need to see that generally people are setting their password very common, like date of birth, name, address, their children's name, like that. So these type of password can easily break by the hackers. Okay, so we need to change, we need to set very difficult password, and we should not write down the password in a computer or somewhere in paper. We should not write actually. And in computer, different accounts are there. We are using, like suppose if we are using one uh, ID for doing email, for using email service, or our bank account number is there, so we may have more than one bank account. Okay, so if we are managing or we are doing online transaction for different bank account, so for all the bank account different passwords should be there. Okay, so these type of common things we should know, because that is password breaches means the people, they can easily break the password if it is common password. Okay, second is hacking. So hacking generally done by the people, though, so they are called as hackers. So these hackers generally get access to the computer without information of the user. They will just disturb the file, they will see what is going on, what files are there, what type of transactions are there, just for fun, without any intention, without any bad intention, just for fun. These hackers, they're so generally, hackers are not harmful. So they will just enter in a computer, they will look whatever the files are there, and what type of informations are there, what type of transactions are doing. Just for fun they will use, they will see the information. But the crackers also do the same work. They will also get access without users information, but with intention. They have intention, crackers. So what is the intention? They will take information, they will retrieve information from the computer, and they can misuse the information. They can sell the information to other person for benefit, for money. So that is the work. Okay, they will just enter without uh, users information, retrieve those information, then can misuse. Cyber vandalism is it's very simple, similar to the concept of damaging the property of others. We are seeing many people, they are just damaging the physical property. For example, you have parked your car outside of your house. Someone is just throwing the stone. Okay, so what will happen? The car will be damaged, the glasses will be damaged. So similar to that, if we all the informations are there in our in our computer, and we have connected to the internet, anyone can easily enter in the computer, and then just they will damage the information. What data we have stored, what informations are there, they will just delete, they will modify those things, they will disturb the file. That is the thing, they will just damage the files, our computer information. Cyber vandalism. Denial of service attack, what is that? Denial of service attack, I will give you one small example. Like in your mobile phone there is option pattern lock. All of you know about the pattern lock. What will happen if I will take your mobile phone and I'm trying to open your mobile phone? So pattern lock is there, so I will just try 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. What will happen? So one message will come, you have tried more than 4 times or 5 times, the wrong password, wrong pattern you entered. So you need to try after 30 seconds or after 1 minute. Okay, it will stop working. It will be stopped. The same concept is there in a ATM card also. If I have an ATM card and I'm trying to withdraw money and I need to enter the correct PIN code. Okay, 4-digit PIN number. But what will happen if I'm entering wrong PIN code 3 times, 4 times? There is some limitation. According to the bank rules, there is some limitation. If someone is trying more than 3 times or 4 times the wrong PIN code, so that ATM card will be blocked for 24 hours. Right? So same concept is used here also, denial of service attack. Many websites are there. If I want to use or I want to open one website, okay, there's some IDs there, ID and password is required to use the service. Some person has just entered more than 5 times, 6 times, 10 times wrong ID and password. What will happen? That service will be stopped. So the person will just trying to disturb you. Okay, so that's why they are putting these type of things just for fun, entertainment for themselves. Okay, they will enter many times they will enter wrong ID and password in the particular website or server. So if someone is trying to open that, it will not open. It will stop because of because many times the wrong ID and password has been entered. That is the thing. So it will deny the service for you. So people are just disturbing just for fun. Ransomware, generally this ransomware is done by using the virus. They will send one small virus into your computer. When the virus is activate, in that case once the virus is started doing their work, so it will stop, it will lock your computer. You cannot do anything. One message will come that your computer has been locked. Okay, pay this much amount of money in this particular account number, then only your computer will be unlocked. So that type of activity is done in this ransomware. They will ask for the money. Okay, so this type of activity is done by sending the virus. It is done by virus, ransomware. Next is backdoor attack. What is backdoor attack? See, all of you know that how to open the computer. If I have set password, there is ID and password in my laptop or my computer. So it's very simple. I will just enter the ID and password. My computer will be unlocked. I can use. Someone is trying to open that computer, my laptop or my computer. So the straight method is to enter ID and password. But instead of these method, they're trying to open the computer with some different way, different methods. So how it can be, they can send one small virus, a small piece of software. It will be stored in your computer when you are entering the ID, password, so that software will capture those information, and then it will send to the sender, those who have sent this virus into your computer, about all the activity, what you are doing, your ID, password, they will send. Then they will enter in your computer. Okay. So that is called as backdoor attack. Next is direct access attack. So in this attack, directly they will access your computer. It's very simple that suppose your laptop, your computer is there at your home, or in, you can just think about any government office or government company. In that computer, many important information data are stored. Someone is trying to open that, someone is trying to access those information. So backdoor attack is failed, or any other method he has tried, but that person is failed. So he will just steal the computer directly. He will enter in that particular office, okay, by hiding himself, and he will just steal the hard disk, steal the computer, a laptop, then he will open that. So that is called as direct access, direct attack. Okay, they will just enter, they will just take that computer hardware or laptop, they will start their computer, then they can retrieve, they can steal all the information. Next one is phishing. It's a that word all of you know. What do you mean by phishing? All of you know that phishing. So in many company, many website, the fraud people, they are sending wrong information, wrong fake ID. With the fake ID, they will send you the message that you have won 20 lakh rupees or 10 lakh rupees. Please click on the link. When you click on the link, one web page will be open. It will ask to enter some important information like ID, account detail, and all some information they will be asking. You are thinking that you are doing some different type of work, that to get that 20 lakh rupees or to get that 10 lakh rupees, you are entering the account number and then detail you are entering. But someone is can misuse those information. They can retrieve your money from your account. That can be done by using phishing. Next topic in the book is that is given e-commerce fraud. So if we are doing online commerce, and different frauds are also there. Different type of peoples are there. They do different type of fraud. So what type of possibility frauds are there? First is identity threat. So generally, what happens in this fraud, people can steal your identity. Okay, or they can steal your credit card, debit card information. They will use your credit card, your debit card information to buy the things. That is called as identity theft. So any fraud people can pretend that he is somewhere, someone else ID he is using, someone else password he is using, some other people account number he is using, others. Generally, it is happening that nowadays in the market it is available that we have seen also in newspaper, we have read news channel also, it is coming that people are making copy of the card, ATM card, debit card. That is also possible. Okay, so people are just making copy and then they are misusing those information of that card. Second is friendly fraud. So generally these type of fraud are done by the client itself, customer. Suppose one customer has placed order to buy to purchase one item from one website, and he paid the money. For example, he paid 500 or 1000 rupees for that particular product. The product also he has received, but later on he has purchased one item from the website. He paid the money also, but later on, and he received that amount, received that item also, the product also he has received. But later on, he will claim that he has not received the item. he has not received that product. So that type of activity is called as friendly fraud. Okay, it is done by the customer itself. Next one is merchant fraud. So in merchant fraud, what happen? Suppose one customer has paid money for to purchase particular product. So the money has been the money has been deducted from the customer's account. Uh, it has been credited in the customer that merchant account. But instead of that money, that merchant has to give you the product. Okay, but he will not give. He will tell that the merchant will tell, I have not received money from the customer. So that type of fraud is called as merchant fraud. It is done from the from merchant side. The last one is triangulation fraud. So generally, this type of fraud is combination of more than one type of fraud. Okay, what we have studied already. So in this, generally they will send you the message that please update your KYC, please update, or you have won 20 lakh rupees, 10 lakh rupees, please open the visit and enter the account detail, and all these type of messages will be there. When you open, so completely fake website is there. Completely fake website will be there. Okay, when you're seeing those websites, so a lot of products, just example, many products are there in very cheap rate. For example, in market, one product price is 10,000 rupees, but in that website it is showing 2,000 rupees. So what you will do? Obviously, the people will think to buy that product because it is very less price product. So people are clicking on those options. By clicking on buy option, they are paying the money, but nothing is received. The money has been deducted from your account, but you're not receiving any product. So that type of fraud is called as triangulation fraud.